All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you've had a good weekend, a good Lord's Day, a good everything. I definitely did, because this past week, starting on Thursday, was the Truth Script conference, or it's really kind of like more of like a retreat than a conference. There were sessions, like 3 sessions a day, that kind of thing, and then the entire afternoons every day was just to kind of do whatever you wanted to do. You could hang out, go hiking. There's lots of amenities at this particular camp. What I did, of course, was I went fishing. And if you remember last year I went to this conference, I struck out completely. It was a little later in the season and it was a little colder, but I could not locate fish. It's as simple as that. This year, I think I had like 12 or 15 catches, something like that. A lot of smallmouth bass, including one 3-pounder, which was really fun. And then a couple pickerel. I had an almost 3-pound pickerel, which for pickerel is pretty big. Then I caught a pumpkin seed, yellow perch, that kind of thing. What are my kids doing? I don't know. It sounds like they're having a great time. Anyway, so I was pretty pumped about it. And all of that. So, John, thank you for the invite to speak and all that kind of thing. From what I understand, it was recorded, so maybe these presentations will be on his channel at some point. Hopefully, you get to see it. Mine is about how to have kind of a cheerful attitude and joy, even though you're fighting with people. In the trenches, so to speak. How to maintain sort of a joyful attitude. And I think that, man, that is so needed right now. Oh man, it is something out there. I mean, one of the things I think I made this clear in my presentation, but hopefully I did, is that I don't always have a cheerful attitude about these things, and certain things just really do, they get to me to a certain degree, and I try to really avoid dwelling in those kinds of emotions for very long. I try to give it to the Lord as much as possible, but I'd be honest if I wouldn't be being honest, rather, if I kind of projected that sometimes this stuff really bothers me, and it really does. But I try to maintain a positive attitude and all that kind of thing, and I have to be straight up with you. I've had a really good time kind of ribbing G3 for some of their more unhinged takes on Christian nationalism. And, we've all had a good laugh. We've been memeing, and that's been sort of the general thrust of my emotional state throughout this entire thing. But I'd be lying to you if I said that I didn't sometimes just feel like, man, like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, why are they doing this? Why is it the way it is? It doesn't have to be like this. Why can't they just be mature about this? Why can't they oppose this in a way that is actually helpful? Because I'm on record as saying that I believe that Stephen Wolf's, book, for example, and, Andrew Torba's stuff and Doug Wilson's stuff and my stuff to a certain degree. I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of work in this area, but I have put out content about it. I think that needs pushback. I think that needs challenges. I think that needs to be taken seriously and seriously opposed, so that we can refine these ideas more, and think things like that. But it's just not happening that way. You know what I mean? It's not happening that way. It's instead of actual legitimate pushback, we're just getting called names, you're a racist and things like that. And it's very reminiscent of the woke church playbook, and from Owen Strawn, that's not surprising. The guy was woke 5 minutes ago, but for some of these guys, it is a little bit surprising to see how this has all gone down. And it's not fun. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is that way. And Wednesday, the day before, I think it was Wednesday, or maybe it was the day I left. I can't remember. It was either Wednesday or Thursday, and I had heard that, Owen did what I predicted he would do. I sent Owen an email, and I said, hey, man, don't do this. If you want to talk about kinism, go ahead, but don't be sloppy about it. Don't create kinnis out of thin air like I know you're going to do. That's what I sent him an email to warn him about that, because I didn't want him to do that to G3. And let me just be clear. It sounds to me like G3 put on a great conference, with the exception of that pre-conference session where, it was MLK 50 all over again. I mean, that pre-conference was a disaster. But if you take that part out, the rest of the conference was fine. And, it's if people love it and got a lot of value out of it, I'm grateful for that because all in all, G3 seem like good enough guys. They've got a good message, a good enough message. We can coexist and all of that kind of thing. And even if they decide that, they need to go to war with us, we don't have to necessarily return the favor. You know what I mean? A long time ago, I knew that there were going to be people out there that, for lack of a better term, are not going to be as based as I want them to be. And that needs to be okay with us. You know what I mean? That needs to be okay with us because if you go around in life expecting everyone to be, again, I don't really like the term, but I guess I do. If you expect everyone to be as based as you're going to be miserable out there. You know what I mean? So anyway, but yeah, the G3 conference came out and it pretty much seems like everything was great except for the pre-conference. This meme here that G3 put out, I can't even believe it. I really can't believe it. And I'm going to go do a little digging to find out, times in my own content where I said the same thing I'm about to say regarding a Russell Moore tweet or a Phil Vischer tweet or something like that, because this is identical rhetoric, identical strategy to the woke church talking about whiteness or white evangelicalism. They used to slander white evangelicalism and whiteness all the time. And they would say things like, Jesus isn't white, and stuff like that. And, Jesus doesn't just love white evangelicalism and, things like that. And, we all got it at the time. It was rhetoric. It was like they knew that nobody would hold the position that they're boldly standing against, but yet they were pretending as if people would oppose that. And it was just all a rhetorical move. It was all posturing. It was bearing false witness in the most sneaky of ways, because you're really not actually bearing false witness technically, but we all knew in context what you were implying. And Owen did the same thing. This is the quotation, and people were posting this like it was fire. And I remember when Gospel Coalition and those kinds of idiots would do the same thing, and people would post it as fire. And back then, all of our anti-woke friends would recognize that for what it was. It was, yeah, I mean, it's technically true, but who opposes it? You're saying that just to give the impression that the evangelical church is racist as a whole. Here's what Owen says. God does not love a merely white church in America. God loves a global people of all backgrounds and tribes. Owen Strawn. Fire. Fire. Here's Ken Five Solas. Ken, you're smarter than this, man. I remember you used to share my stuff where I would be criticizing guys like Russell Moore saying the exact same kind of thing, and you'd be like, right on, AD. Ken, you are smarter than this. Nothing is shocking about Owen Strawn's statement. What is shocking is that this statement needed to be made currently to the church in America. Sad. This statement did not need to be made. Nobody, literally nobody disagrees with this statement. Nobody. But when you hear it in the context of his little kinism speech, you think that there's lots of people, or at least some people, who would disagree with this statement. I'm here to tell you, I don't know everything about kinism, but I do know this. Kinists, actual kinists who call themselves kinists, agree with Owen's statement here. God does not love merely white church in America. God loves a global people of all backgrounds and tribes. Kinists agree with that. I'm talking about actual kinists, kinists that are self-aware of their kinism. They do not disagree with what Owen Strawn has said in this quotation. This did not need to be said, but it's said to paint their opposition in the worst possible light, in the same exact strategic way that Russell Moore would have said in the ERLC conference, or David Platt. This is what David Platt's presentation was all about. Guys, this is when I first came on the scene, I ripped apart David Platt's little whiteness sermon, and I was getting attaboys from people like Virgil Walker. Man, brother, you're doing great work. And they were saying the same things that I was saying about David Platt's speech. And here we've got Owen employing the same rhetoric in the same kind of context to the same effect. I haven't changed. They've changed. They don't see it. And I give them, at least this, that they don't see it that way. And, okay. So give me one quotation where a person of any consequence at all, I'm not talking about someone with 3 followers on Twitter. I'm talking about someone of any consequence who would disagree with Owen's statement here, that this needed to be said, that God actually only loves white evangelical church or a white church in America. He doesn't love a global people of all backgrounds and tribes. Give me one person of consequence who would disagree with that statement. One. It didn't need to be said. And here Scott Aniles is promoting this like this needed to be said. This was fire. He's standing strong against all of these crazies out there that think that Jesus only loves the white church in America. It's a lie, guys. It's a lie. And But at some point, when I had heard that I hadn't seen this quotation yet, but I had heard that Owen accused Stephen Wolfe of being a kinist and all that kind of stuff, doing exactly what I warned him not to do. He decided to do it anyway, and I thought to myself, and I even said this in one of my private chat groups, at what point do we just ignore what they say as irrelevant as it is and just kind of move on and continue to do our thing and things like that. And, people had different opinions on that. But I noticed some people publicly saying, at some point you just got to stop dunking on G3. You know what I mean? At some point, they're going to say their slanders. They're going to do their things. They're going to be held to account for that. At some point, you just got to kind of have to move forward, right? And I haven't made a decision on that yet. I definitely have been thinking about that. At what point is something like this rhetoric here, guys? And then they pretend, like, this is the thing. It's like Scott pretends like the pushback that people are giving on this proves that it needed to be said. And it's like, Scott, you have to be smarter than this. I refuse to believe that you're that stupid. That you understand the pushback is not that people don't agree with this. It's that literally everyone does. Literally everyone agrees with what Owen said here. That's the point of the pushback. It did not need to be said. And the reason he said it was to imply that there are lots of people, or at least some, again, give me one person, that this needed to be said boldly, come what may, with all the drama associated with it and all that kind of thing. But they're pretending like they're like, oh no, the giant is real. It's not a windmill. It's really a giant. And it's sad to see people just embarrass themselves like this, but it is what it is. And so I guess I'm asking for your opinion here, because I had considered, maybe responding to, Owen did that interview about kinism and Stephen Wolfe, that guy. I don't even know the podcast name, but they had interviewed him live at the G3 conference to talk about that and Christian nationalism. And I thought it wasn't all terrible. There was some good stuff there. I thought I'd respond to that. Do one of my videos where I kind of take it seriously, respond to it as if, I was talking to Owen, because he won't talk to me, obviously. Do you guys think that would be helpful? If you do, if you'd like me to respond to that in a serious way, there's a video floating around of Owen talking about Christian nationalism, kinism, and Stephen Wolfe. If that would help you, I will do it. Okay, I will do it. But I got to be honest, I'm leaning towards just kind of moving on. You know what I mean? Like they can treat me however way they want to treat me, and just kind of move on and do my thing, or maybe do some content on some of the more like scarier aspects of Christian nationalism, because people raise the specter, blasphemy laws, we would cease to be the United States if we had blasphemy laws. I actually think that you want blasphemy laws, and I think I can explain that to you in a short video, why blasphemy laws would be good. Blasphemy laws would be good, or things like that. Just like some of the issues that that they're trying to make so scary, present a positive vision for some of that stuff and realize this is totally normal to believe this kind of thing. Anyway, let me know, guys, if I've got a few ideas of kind of how to move forward. I don't really care about growing a platform, so I don't really care if I get opposition to this kind of stuff. I just wonder how helpful it's going to be to my audience, right? So let me know in the comments if you think that would be helpful to do, the Owen Strawn, little question and answer thing he did, to respond to it, or to if they release his little speech, maybe to respond to that as well. I mean, let me know what you would like me to do, because I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, like, look, let them embarrass themselves, let them torch their credibility, let them do the wokey pokey if that's what they want to do. Like, they're good enough guys. They're right enough about enough things that I could just put an end to my. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Oh man. In any case, yeah. Oh my goodness, I had a conversation recently. This is an interesting one. There was a Jewish guy who took umbrage with in one of my videos, I said that anti-Semitism in the church is just so rare. Like, who cares, right? Like, just kind of off the cuff kind of thing. He was very upset about that, and he sent me a long email about all the anti-Semitism that he receives, or something like. I don't remember exactly what this email was. It was a very long-winded, just very aggressive email. Anyway, he apologized to me for it lately. He said, "Yeah, I'm sorry. That was, and I was like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You could tell me your experience. I mean, I believe it, that kind of thing." Anyway, he started saying how, but he's like apologized, but like he also wanted to like confront me about Christian nationalism, how he's really worried as a Jew, things like that. And at some point in the conversation, he said to me, "I would rather live in Israel and be persecuted for being a Jew, or for being a Christian rather, than to live in the United States and be mocked by Presbyterians for my dispensationalism." And I said to him, I mean, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. That doesn't make any sense to me. What are you talking about, man? I just could not believe it. And it was just like, you really think that Presbyterians are going to persecute you? And he kind of walked that back. He said, "No, well, I've been mocked for my dispensationalism." I'm like, seriously? Like, you'd rather be persecuted than mocked? I think what he's. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. I thought that was quite funny. In any case, God bless you. I'm looking for feedback here. I need help here. I need to decide what to do. I do the channel, partially because I enjoy it, but mostly because you guys find it helpful. So let me know if you'd like me to just kind of continue to fire up a little bit more content there. Now, of course, I won't only do the G3 stuff, but if you find it helpful, let me know. Because if you don't let me know, I probably will just stop doing it. I haven't made any decisions yet. But anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless. I mean, seriously, guys, it would be like if I, spent an hour talking about how liberalism, like a liberal kind of view of like classical liberalism, paved the way for pedophilia and things like that. Like, I spent like all this time, like, making those connections, and then, but it was really about G3 and how they're classically liberal and they're promoting these things. And then I put a big picture of Scott Anil, like right here, and I said, God, the kingdom of God has no room for secret pedophilia in America. Come what may. And I said something stupid like that. Like, you would instantly see, dude, you're slandering Scott. Like, he doesn't believe that. Like, oh yeah, but the book sets the tone for it. And it's like, but that's not what you're saying. Like, everyone would get it. Everyone would get it. Oh man, you just gotta laugh about it. You really do. You really have to laugh about it. I mean, so many people commented that you put the same exact quotation and you don't tell anyone who said it, it sounds like MLK 50. I mean, it's the same exact thing. Like, everyone was predicting it would be like the MLK 50, you know, and I was joking that it would be, but like, I didn't think it really would be, and it really is. That's just how it is. Not the whole conference. The conference seems like it was great. The pre-conference, they did the thing that we all knew they would do, and somehow I'm still surprised about it.